talking about the story of God written down long before Jesus came. God is the master storyteller, and He is, from the beginning of the Bible, telling us about the promised Messiah. God was coming as a man. God was coming to bring peace and salvation, to establish justice, to redeem, to bring all the world into a place of salvation, every tribe, tongue, people, and nation. This story is told long before Jesus actually comes. It's told in direct prophecy. We're told who this Messiah is going to be, where He is going to be born. We're told when He's coming into history. We're told how He's going to die and rise again. We're even given beautiful moments of rehearsal for the Messiah, where the people of God are rehearsing. And they don't even realize they're doing it, rehearsing what God was going to accomplish in the Messiah when God became king. The last part of the series, we talked about Abraham, Father Abraham. Abraham was promised that he would have a son, a unique son. And in that promise, we're told that all the world is going to be blessed through Isaac, this promised son, leading on into the Messiah. We know the story about Abraham offering Isaac on the altar, and how that was really just a foreshadowing of what God was going to do Himself in providing the lamb on that exact place for the sacrifice. And immediately following that story, in Genesis 22:15, it says, "And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven, and said, By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son. I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies." That's what Abraham's told. But how could Abraham have possibly seen the glory of this promise, understood it, comprehended it in any way? I mean, even in this story, in the midst of it, we see that Abraham is just following God's lead. God is God. He is the all-knowing God, the all-powerful God. He created everything. He has full authority, and He's telling Abraham what to do. And Abraham is walking through this dress rehearsal for the big day of what Jesus is ultimately going to accomplish. But God does something in this very moment. Not only does He provide this amazing promise that on that mountain, God is going to provide the sacrifice, the lamb, but then He goes on to say that He is going to multiply Abraham's descendants like the stars of heaven and like the sand on the seashore. I don't know if you've ever been to a beach, but when you go to the beach, it's actually quite incredible just how much sand there is. Some beaches, it's as far as the eye can see, and there's a lot of it, and it's thick. And if you stick your finger in it and pull your finger out, it's nearly impossible to count all the sand stuck to your fingertip. And God's promise is like that. Look up to the sky. Can you count those stars? No. That's what it's going to be like. Your descendants, all the world is going to be blessed through this Messiah, and it's going to be like that. You can't count them. There's too many. It's going to be like the sand on the seashore. He just amplifies it. It's like that. There's going to be so much. God is going to bless Abraham abundantly. He's going to bless the world through Abraham abundantly through this Messiah. That is what Advent is all about. And you can see that Jesus certainly knows this promise. He's that promised offspring according to Galatians chapter 3. He's the one who's going to possess this all. He's the one who's going to accomplish all of this. And Jesus, well aware of this promise to Father Abraham and well aware of His identity as Messiah, says after the resurrection, He says in Matthew 28:18-20, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. And He tells them to therefore go, because He has all the authority. He's in charge. He's accomplished it all. He says, therefore go, and He says, make disciples of all the nations. That was the promise, that in Abraham all the nations would be blessed. And Jesus says to baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. And He says, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you. And lo, I'm with you always, even unto the end of the age. This is what Advent is all about. God is the master storyteller. He is the one that sustains everything. He sustains you right now. You have breath in your lungs, and you have a heart that's beating, and you have this day that God made, and He put you in it. He sustains you. He sustains every molecule in the ocean. All over the universe, God is carrying everything along to its intended destination. There is meaning and there is purpose in everything. And God here, at the very beginning of Earth's history, essentially, is promising this one, this offspring, this Messiah who's going to come, and He's going to bless all the nations. And there are going to be descendants from the nations as numerous as the stars, like the sand on the seashore. And that is the gospel of the kingdom. It's the good news of the kingdom of the Messiah. God becomes king, and He brings His salvation as far as the curse is found. Let earth receive her king. Merry Christmas, everybody.